we have the news that Mr. Frank Reich, a lovable coach, great guy, Panthers fire him. There was a lot of talk about how David Tepper, the owner, was, heated, leaving the field with this one. Listen, it's a bad team. It's a bad roster. They didn't do much. They take Bryce Young. There's obviously a lot, I don't know this for sure, but I've always had the idea, and it's sort of confirmed this morning on Twitter, that Frank Reich was really into Stroud, and it was Tepper's camp, and a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of different things saying, oh, no, we got to go for Bryce Young. And there's a lot of the world on the Twitter right now talking about that. Now, I do want to say, Bryce Young, take it easy on him. We always indict and sort of decide the future or what these guys are, what their identity is, what their capabilities, their ceilings are, before anything is really figured out. I've talked to 2 coaches this morning, and I said, does Bryce Young have it? We'll ask Taylor Lewan the same sort of question. Does he have it? Or is he a bust? And they pointed to other quarterbacks that we have more. I mean, Ryan's suggestion, Shmuel, it's like I heard that one this morning as a bit of a bust. But with Bryce Young, the roster isn't there. The O-line isn't there. The run game isn't there. Outside of Adam Thielen, who, by the way, whiffed yesterday, outside of him, there isn't like the consistency that you would need to even be able to say whether or not Bryce Young has it or not. So we'll see, as obviously they're going to fire everybody. They're going to clean house. They're going to figure this out and build again with David Tepper. We'll see, if a second coaching staff gets shown the door and shown the exit to the parking lot, your key card isn't working anymore, a la Jamal Adams, that brilliant Jets footage that we play over and over again from Hard Knocks. Like, if that happens again, then you can maybe say Bryce Young's a bust. But some of these, feistier teams that need quarterbacks for the future, might be looking for a Bryce Young, might be looking to say, hey, Bryce Young didn't work out, and let's see what we can do. As far as head coaches, who wants to go there? When you have such a quick trigger like David Tepper, who, let's just be honest here, he's super involved. I think we can all see that from the outside looking in. You read about how he's bringing the hedge fund mentality. There's right or wrong. This is how I want it, whatever. The football minds have to be 100% right. Like, football's a different animal. I don't know anything about hedge funds. I know a little bit about football. And I don't think those two are the same. I don't think that the same things sort of work. So it'll be interesting to see if David Tepper can evolve to sort of delegate and to sort of let someone else in on some of the decision-making, Fitterer fine, whatever, if he sticks around. I don't know if Fitterer sticks around, because you kind of look at that roster and some of those moves and you're like, oh, you got rid of DJ Moore? Okay, that's cool. You did. I don't know if some of those moves really panned out for this Carolina Panthers team. That we want to be competitive, we want to be good. They wasted a young, feisty defense. Now, are you going to waste the window of young Bryce Young? Are there other teams with aging quarterbacks that might take a look and say, hey, I'd like to win on that rookie window. Let's pull him into the mix here. But I think as far as sexiness of spots where coaches want to gravitate towards, make big swings, I think coaches in this day and age do consider ownership groups, or to just kind of lay off and let people, sort of do what they want to do. You have that. You look at the really good teams. Kraft, of course, he could put his foot down, but I'm happy to talk about the Patriots this year, but in the greatness of what they were. Tomlin does his thing. I don't really realize ownership's not a big meddler. Chicago seems medley to me. They seem a little medley. You look at places like, I don't know, you look at the new Commanders leadership. I doubt that ownership group is really medley. I bet they're and I know it's not going perfectly, but do your thing. Broncos, new ownership group. Sean Payton's probably doing whatever he wants. I'm sure he's got all of the shots there. That's important to the better coaches, I think, to not have, the ownership group as hands-on. So it'll be interesting to see how that sort of plays out. But I think the important thing for me, we'll ask Taylor about it. Does Bryce Young have it? We don't know. Stop, don't criticize the kid, because look at what's going on here. Frank Reich probably, it's a rough go for him. He's going to take his guaranteed and move elsewhere. And it might be the best thing that happens for Frank Reich. Who knows? All right, let's get. I hate that coming after the Bryce Young already, because he's a bust. CJ Stroud's crushing it. Okay, we get it. Whatever. It's the news of the day. What do you make of the firing? I guess, even though I don't think there's much to say there. Somebody.
I disagree with the firing.
Really?
I disagree. Yeah,
okay.
I think Frank's he's a great head ball coach. When he was with the Colts, every time he played the Colts, they were a team that understood the rules and used the rules to their advantage. They were a great coach team. They were always in their gaps. They understood, the strategic part of football. And so that's the head coach. And so I don't know about, GM wanted Bryce, maybe Frank didn't want Bryce. Here's the issue in the NFL is, comparison is the thief of joy. When you see CJ Stroud doing what he's doing for Houston, everyone's going to sit there and be like, oh, we should have got that guy. We should have done this. And, Carolina trades up and they go and get their guy. But you got to look at, like, they gave away their best receiver to the Bears. They have a 33-year-old white guy as their best receiver right now. It's like, it's tough. And don't get me wrong, Thielen's a stud, but like, we need time to develop players, which is what Frank has shown he can do in the past.
Right.
And I just think it's unfair when you have a rookie quarterback to say, oh, this is not going to be the guy for us. Because the Carolina, you can't just jump around from Matt Rule to Frank Reich to who's next and who's after that. Like, there needs to be some sort of stability. And that's why I don't like that fire. I think he's a great head coach.
It's super dysfunctional. So if he's a great coach and the leadership at the top is in question right now. Like, no one's going to fire Tepper. Tepper's just got to figure it out and how to empower the right people and get it right. From what you've seen out of Bryce Young, this is Bryce Young without DJ Moore, who really only has Adam Thielen as the one consistent piece. The offensive line is not great. The run game not there to support him. Do you think Bryce Young has it from the things that you've seen?
I think it's too early to tell with Bryce Young. I mean, for all the reasons you just said, like, if you don't have a good wide receiver core to help him out, the offensive line struggles, there's not a big run game, like, that's a lot of pressure to put on a kid that's just out of college who's used to having aliens around him. You come from Alabama, like, you're going to have 5-star guys that can run past everybody and make the tightest cuts on their routes and the greatest offensive line of all time. So it's always going to become an issue in that transition. But that's where the development, that's where guys like Frank Reich do a great job of getting the assistant coaches in to develop the guys. And so I fall back on that, man. I don't think that's the move. I think we go through another offseason. We acquire more guys. We go through the free agency process. We get the dudes we want in there. And then when you look around and say, okay, we have enough pieces to win, then we can start evaluating Bryce Young being a year in there, taking that next step in year two. I just think, it's such an impatient league. And it's just, I think it hurts so many franchises trying to get out of that bottom of the barrel realm.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a bottom tier team, you're so impatient because you see the Chiefs, you see not the Chargers, God forbid, not the Chargers, but you see like Eagles, you see the Niners, and you're like, we want to be like them. It's like, that takes time. You have to slowly build that. You have to get guys like Nick Bosa, like you did, 3rd overall pick
a
while back.
If Bussin' with the Boys had an NFL team, there's a 33rd team allowed, and you had to play this weekend, would you take Justin Fields or Bryce Young to be your quarterback?
Probably Bryce Young. I see Justin's been hurt a couple of times, and I'm not a massive fan of his play. I don't think he's sitting in interviews saying, I'm just going to do me. It seems like I'm just not a fan of that. Yeah. I'll tell you what, who I love, and it wasn't an option, CJ Stroud, another Ohio State guy. But I'd probably take Bryce just for the sake of it's his first year, and you can kind of chalk him up to that as like, okay, first year woes. Yeah. We don't have a team around him, and we can develop this guy.
Yeah, it's just, I'm still seeing a lot of like, today I was thinking about, like, in the morning, I was seeing a lot of like, is Justin Fields the answer in Chicago? And I'm like, are we still having this conversation? Like, I don't know what's going on with it. But let's talk about good.